I want us to, this afternoon, once again, welcome. He just finished the session, so please welcome him back on stage, Honorable Shete, as he please comes back on stage to answer questions in that regard. All right, thank you. Also, I have the honor, he hasn't spoken yet, but he will. Many of you I've seen questions, like 2 or 3 questions around proper legal documentation. What do I need to do when I buy land? How do I confirm if the land is genuine and things like that? So to address all of such areas is currently the Secretary, Ibadan Local Government Properties Limited. Please welcome with me, Barrister Aderibigbe Adetunji. Please a round of applause for him as he comes to take his seat. And also here joining the panel session is the representing the Director General for Oyo State New Towns and Cities Development. I did not pick his name. Please kindly indulge me. Can we please put our hands together for him as he please comes up to represent the DG on the panel session, please. Mr. Oluwaseun Raji. Please, a round of applause for him once again. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. Please do want to take your seat. And the last but not the least is the Publicity and the Organizing Secretary, REDAN, Oyo State. Please, a round of applause for Mr. Oluwumi Falodun. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Once again, it's good to have you here, and it's a privilege to have you here once again. Even as we have conversations that aims at driving public-private partnership, and of course the growth of housing, sustainable and affordable housing in Oyo State. Now, once again, just the way we did the other time, beyond the questions that we have planned to ask, if you have questions that you feel will really address pressing concerns in your heart, either by virtue of your experience or in your business, you want to, put down your questions, and then the ushers can pass the questions to me very, very briefly. So I'll be starting this afternoon with Barrister Aderibigbe. All right, welcome, sir. Now, talking about legal processes, documentations, in simple terms, let's assume there are people here that are newbies in real estate. What exactly do I need to do before buying a land and after buying a land?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
The most important thing about what we have been discussing, the other time it was projected, developers and builders. And from my mind, I was saying, you can't build something on nothing. It's not possible. You must walk before you can run. That means we must understand what the concept land. Before you can talk about documentation, how do you acquire this land? These are the things we have to look into. And a number of us, we think all these things are elementary. And we are not careful enough about all those things. There are various ways whereby one can acquire land. Because before you can build, you must have a landed property. I don't want to be like that singer. He said, "Mo fẹ́ kọ́lé, mo fẹ́ ralẹ̀." You have to rally before you call it. Praise the Lord.
It's very easy to spot a pastor. It's okay.
So, the first thing, you can acquire land. There's something they call adverse possession. If somebody has been on your land for a period of 12 years, according to the law, and that person is not challenged, and he has been there openly, continuously, and he has been using that property exclusively for 12 years, he can claim the title.
Hello, sir. My land, sir.
We are talking about documentation. We have to start from somewhere.
Yes, sir.
Even before we get to the documentation, we have to start from, you must know your title before you can talk about documentation. What are you bringing forward? That's one way. Another way is gift inter vivos, which means under customary law, a grantor can gift a grantee a property orally, but that person must be in possession, and it must be done so in the presence of witnesses. But if it is not under customary law, it has to be by deed. They call it deed of gift. I'm trying to say this for us to understand certain things about landed property. It could be by partitioning. It could be by purchase. It could be by government allocation. The other time somebody asked that, how can I buy land from the government? Government do not sell land. Government allocates land. So we must get it clear. And when a land is allocated to you, it means you are on leasehold. We have leasehold, we have freehold. So when a land is allocated to you, that means you are on a leasehold. And that means the reversionary interest will still come back to the government. And if a land is given to you by the government, that means if you are talking about documentation, you are talking about certificates of occupancy. If it has been given, government cannot issue 2 certificates of occupancy on a particular plot. That means if you have a certificate of occupancy and you are transferring your interest to me, what I need to do is deed of assignment. Another way, if, like where I work now, the governor is head leaser, we are the leaser. That means if we are going to give you any document, what we can give you is sublease document. And you can't process the sublease document without having your 3 years tax clearance. And you must present also your passport. These are the things that has to be done. And, you know, according to Land Use Act, all the land in a state is vested in the governor of that state and is holding in trust for the people of that state. That means for you, according to Section 22 of Land Use Act, for anybody to have any land, it has to be with the consent of the governor. Am I making sense?
Yes, sir.
It has to be with the consent of the government, whether deed of assignment, whether after you have prepared your sales agreement, it has to be properly documented. So where you get your property, the owner of your property, you know, some of us, we think we can sell property with power of attorney. No. Power of attorney just gives you the right to represent that person. Because if you are selling, you have to have other documents to back up that power of attorney. And that power of attorney also must be registered. Otifumi power of attorney, komata. And it must be said there, for the fact that the power of attorney has been given to you, does not foreclose the fact that the owner can sell his own property, except it has been coupled with consideration. If it has been coupled with consideration, that means the owner cannot sell without seeking your consent. So these are the basic things we need to know about land. Where do you get the land that you are talking about? You know, we have family land. If Olori Ebi sells the land without the concurrence of other members of the land, I think we understand that that transaction is voidable. But if any member of the land should sell the land without the input of the Olori Ebi, that transaction is void ab initio. That means if you are buying from somebody who is not Olori Ebi and you are buying family land, you have bought zero. So when you have bought zero and you want to document zero, 0 times 0 is 0.
Thank you so much. Please a round of applause for Barrister Aderibigbe. That's very impressive. So once again, for proper introduction, we have here the Executive Secretary, Newton's Cities Development Authority, Mr. Oluwaseun Raji. Now, please, if you want to clap, please do it well. Thank you for coming. Now, there's a concern people have. It's one of the questions I've seen here today, citing examples in Lagos where people claim to have government approval over a property, over a land, and after a few years, government says, you know what, we want to use the land, and then go and take whatever it is you've built on it, irrespective of how heavy the investment is. Now, some have growing concerns around that even within Oyo State. So the question is this: what policy is on ground that favors both developers and investors to ensure that government can't just wake up tomorrow and say, oh, we want that land, or we are revoking this right?
Yeah, thank you, sir. So I want to thank you for this opportunity to be here. Yeah, I will start from where baristas started from. You know, some of the times when we try to analyze issue, we dwell on the symptoms. So we don't go to the root cause. So that's why I had to take that approach, and that is what I will take to. So you will hear that, okay, like you have said, government is, people claim to have approval, and government is taking over their land, driving them, and all that. You have to find out. It may happen because under the Land Use Act that he has cited, there is a provision, you know, for government to take over any land for overriding public interest. So that is on one side. But on the other side, when people claim that they have approval, because this is what I've done for 25 years, by the grace of God. So I've seen cases when people claim they have approvals, you have to check whether it is genuine.
Approval from whom?
Approval from whom? Thank you. So there are fake approvals. And, you know, before you can say you acquire a land and you are building on it or carrying out any kind of activity on that land, you have to, first of all, do your searching. You know, the executive advisor talk about, you know, the some of the innovations that this present administration has brought, you know, on board. And that is the application, you know, of digital tool, you know, in land administration and urban planning in the state. So we in the Ministry of Lands, there's something we call, there's an app that have been developed for some years now. You know, a lot of people may not be aware. So it is called Awari. So
Awari?
It's a land or title search app.
Oh, wow.
Yes, that you can search for any property, you know, in Oyo State. So,
and it's live on Google Play Store and Apple Play Store.
Yes, it's an app. So these are things that people don't know. And if you want to search, you know, by analog too, you can take your survey plan to the office of, you know, there are a lot of documents, survey plan that are not registered, you know, with government. When you ask, these people will say, and we have red copy. And by the time you check, and you can check, you can actually check, you can walk in and check. And most of the time when you claim to have your registered copy with you, there's something that is called certificate of lodgement. All people know is just that I'm carrying my survey plan. Do you have the certificate of lodgement that actually assure you that the land, your land has been registered lodged with government with evidence? The surveyor just tell you that, oh, I've done it, and you believe you have done it until you have issue. Then you will know that what you are carrying is empty. And the same thing when it comes to building plan approval. Like I said, you know, there are fake approvals. So government will not just wake up one day and say they are, after all, government, the main responsibility of government is to take care of the people in time, not just them, and also their properties, their assets. So they will not just wake up. When you see such things happening, there are, I've seen somebody, even a civil servant, that said many years ago, maybe like 10 years ago. So he was saying that where he built his house, that he knew, he discovered, even as far back as then, that it's government acquisition. But you know what? By the time they got there, even when they search, some people, when they have people around them that inform them, try to educate them, they will say, but the people there say they have been living there for 15 years, for 25 years, and nothing has happened. And based on that, they have confidence, even though they know that they are not supposed to be there. So this particular person told, he said he has told his wife and children that this house is built on the center of the road, a proposed government road that will be coming up in future. So don't the notion that you have that I'm leaving any property, this property for you, so it can be pulled down. But not everyone can be as sincere as that.
Thank you very much. Okay, Honorable Shete. Now, let's talk about how people can harness the government. We're talking about government acquisition. We want to talk about public-private partnership. If I want to partner with the government to develop cities, let's say I need a land from the government, I want to develop a new city, a new estate. What is the process like? How do I work with the government as far as development of cities is concerned?
All right, thank you so much. Once again, I'd like to commend the organizers because just 48 hours ago, Oyo State had the real estate conference at Jogo Center. So it's a good one that we are here today again to speak into this. Yes, public-private partnership is one thing we promote in Oyo State as a government because it is a way of bringing inclusion into development in the state. It's very simple. All you have to do is walk to the agency, you apply, and after applying, you will be shortlisted. After being shortlisted, you'll be asked to bring in the necessary documents you need, and then after that, you do your drawings, your layout, and everything, and then if it's approved, and then you can work with the government to develop.
So anybody can just walk into housing corporations?
So far, you are a developer of repute, and then you're not...
How do you define a developer of repute?
Inside you know. You know if you can do it or not. Because most things that stalls development in our state or anywhere is because most times the people that come forward are all speculators. If you have your lands or your allocation papers in the hands of speculators, it might take time to develop. We have examples of places that can speak very well of Ajoda New Town. Ajoda New Town has been created since 1979 or 1976, and it's been there like that. Not until when this present board came on board to make sure people move to site to build. So some people just hold on to the allocation paper as souvenirs. Some people hold on to it as something they just want to hold on to it. Nobody 10 years time, I don't know. So that thing does not encourage development. So I think once we know, going forward, we know who is interested in actually building, and then we don't want to deal with speculators anymore.
Someone who has money and is ready to build. Okay. All right. Talking to you, sir. You play in a space where you work directly with developers. Your business actually interfaces between developers and the government. I need to speak to that too, right? We now have many developers coming into Oyo State, many from even Lagos, outside the country, coming with a desire to run projects and things like that. There are probably a few other folks here too who are saying, you know what, I want to play in the real estate space. What do you think is required to, by the words of Honorable, become a developer of repute?
Well, as far as we are concerned, Real Estate Developers Association of Nigeria State Chapter, or REDAN generally, well, you have exceptions to the rule anyway. We believe for you to be a developer, you have to be a member of REDAN, so that there will be regulations you need to follow. You will not be acting as a speculator, like Honorable Shete said, then meeting with the government or meeting with the members of the public, get their funds, and the promises you are making to them, you are not fulfilling them. Like I said, we have exceptions to the rule. Those who may not be developers under REDAN and that are doing well. We have companies like that within Oyo State, and so also we have those that are not doing well. But to be under the same umbrella, we advocate that you have to be a member of REDAN, so that...
What does it take to be a member of REDAN?
Well, for anyone who wants to be a member of REDAN, they can meet me subsequently, so that we can tell them
how to be a member.
Yes,
okay.
all it's that is required to become a member.
All right. But then, since we have your job is interfacing the government and the policies, we have a number of them on seats. If there's something you want to say to them directly, how you think they can help you do your job better? What would you say to them?
I didn't get
you want to speak to, say, government agencies, policies. If there are things you really desire to see happen that will make the job of developers easier, what would it be?
Well, I guess we are blessed in Oyo State. We are blessed in Oyo State. There's a synergy between REDAN and Oyo State government. You can see just 2 days ago, Honorable Shete said, we just held the second conference in real estate in partnership with his office. Yeah. That is Honorable Shete. So as far as we are concerned, we are having it so good, so beautiful in Oyo State. Well, government is government. There will be bureaucratic bottlenecks. But I guess I can score Oyo State government 90% in the way they have dealt with developers in Oyo State.
That deserves a round of applause.
They have made the process so seamless. We are friends. The PPP scheme in Oyo State is thriving. Take, for example, Honorable Raji, Aderibigbe, for example, like the Gen Zs will say, peace of mind is worrying him. Simply because the project he puts up, the Refuge Gardens, nobody can wake up one day or one night and start pulling up thugs to disturb the project that is ongoing there, because it is a PPP scheme that is being put together by Oyo, but that is being made possible by Oyo State government, which shows that for developers in Oyo State, if you know what is happening in Lagos, then you say we are blessed to have the governor at the moment.
So by your own estimates, you're saying that everyone who is genuinely interested in development and is actually serious about it, they're going to have it seamless and easy within the state.
Seamless, and for ease of doing business, they are going to enjoy Oyo State.
That's beautiful.
Coming.
Thanks to His Excellency. That's beautiful. Barrister Aderibigbe, this is a very funny question, but then I will need you to touch on it, because you quoted a law. If I choose to occupy a federal government-owned land domiciled here in Oyo State for more than 12 years, does it mean that the federal government forfeits it to me since I've occupied it openly for that length of time?
Like I said earlier, all the land in the state is vested in the governor of the state. And he has the absolute right. He's holding it in trust for the people. He has the absolute right. And Land Use Act is not the law of a state. It's an act of Nigeria. So it overrides everything. And you can't actually be on a federal government land in Oyo State. If they have any agency, they can share boundaries. Let me give you an example now. The expressway, Ibadan Lagos Expressway, by the right, we have Leeds City University. The setback to the road is shared between federal government and Ibadan Local Government Properties Company Limited. So if you have any interest on any particular portion of that place, it is either you go to the Federal Ministry of Works, or you come to Ibadan Local Government Property. Then we now define what is what. And I said something when I talk about adverse possession. You have to be there without the permission of the owner of that property. And you can't be on a such back without being challenged. It's not possible. So as the moment you are challenged, that means you are not there openly. That means you are not there, you are there without the permission of the owner. But if you have a landed property somewhere and somebody is cultivating on it and they are telling you somebody is on your land and you are saying, don't worry, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5, 12. If the person is conversant with the law, it might spring surprise or surprises. So you can't be on the government land for 12 years and claim adverse possession. It's not possible. And like I said, he was talking about revocation. Yes, it is actually true. According to Section 28 of Land Use Act, the government can revoke. You can revoke, but government cannot revoke without due process. And what is this process? It is notice. You have to put that person on notice. A case in mind, that the estate of General Sonny Abacha and one Eke Steve in River State. Steve was initially allocated that land, but because of the federal might, it was taken over from him. It was revoked from him, and it was given to Abacha. But he contested it, Eke Steve, and he won. Why? Because notice was not given, and compensation. You can't acquire people's property without compensation. Whether it is, how do I put it now? Whether it is adequate is another thing. But you can't actually acquire. Government cannot acquire people's property, especially land, without compensation. So even government has rights to revoke. Like he said, a number of people, they buy for speculation, especially government's land. You can't keep land forever. We are talking about development. So if a land is not developed, and all this land, they are surface land, you have to pay ground rent. And paying of ground rent means you are not the owner, you are a tenant. And tenant can come at any point in time and eject you. So we need to be properly guided.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Any question from the audience? Any question? Any question very briefly? Please come up very briefly so we can take 1 or 2 questions and then we wrap this so we can move to the next phase of the meeting. Very briefly, we are so grateful for your time and your patience, and I'm sure it's been worthwhile so far. Yes, please.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Lawal Olade. Yeah, before going on, you made mention of, asking about government policies the other time. That was initially one of my questions. Yeah, so now we are all aware that Ibadan is growing very fast.
Yes, it is.
After Lagos, yes. And my point is, I wouldn't want, or we wouldn't want a situation whereby Ibadan would make mistakes about developers. I think Honorable Adelaja was talking about houses in Okeari. I grew up in Okeari. I grew up in Idumota side. Most houses there were actually built by developers. And I think when they were building those houses, there were no government policies and regulatories.
Yeah.
What developers do is they come to you when you cannot build your property to build for you, and in the next 20 years, they are repaying.
Yeah.
So it's no more theirs, then it is owned by the owner of the real owners you get.
Okay.
So now, starting the building, they start with inferior materials. And while they were doing these things, there were no government policies, no regulations.
To checkmate them, okay.
To checkmate them.
Yeah.
So what is Ibadan government? What are the steps they want to take
To ensure
to ensure
compliance in
yes,
building.
in building? And it's
Okay.
not just by putting people there, like how are they going to account for it? Because in this Nigeria that we are now, we might actually set of people like around to check, and bribe is going to like
Okay,
make them be
all
what
right.
you want to, like, do you get what I'm saying?
So I want Honorable Shete to weigh in on that. How do we ensure compliance of developers to ensure
Yes,
they're actually
developer-
building
they actually-
what is affordable
the right thing.
and sustainable?
And the price regulatory.
Price regulatory.
Yes.
Nice. I like that part.
Yes.
So that they don't build.
Because you just build one
My,
something that-
my boss from REDAN will respond to the price regulatory.
Okay.
But then let's have, because you guys are selling.
All right,
Sometimes when
thank
they
you.
sell, you ask, you didn't have the fear of God like this. You just see something 100 million, something 200 million. Yes, Honorable Shete.
All right, thank you so much. If I get you right, you are trying to, can I get
Policy regulating how developers build. Policies that ensures no developer builds with inferior materials.
Oh, great. First, as a developer, you need to work in concurrence with the government policy. And then, in case you don't know, Oyo State has a master plan. And then it's important that as a developer, you need to work in concurrence with that. That will also help you deliver to your clients or whatever. So, talking about policies, yes, His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Oyo State, has given the mandate to Oyo State Housing Corporation to build 2,500 housing units across the state, affordable housing units for people across the state. But you agree with me that affordable is relative, like you said. Whatever is affordable to you might not be affordable to someone else. Last year at the real estate conference, there was someone we brought in all the way from Abuja, Rotimi Shodimu, and then he was talking about how we can make affordable housings in Nigeria. He was talking about building houses with bamboo and all that. But then, how many of us will want to stay in a bamboo house? You want to stay in a bamboo house? Are you staying in one now? And then you get what I'm trying to say. So it's relative, because if you look at the cost of building materials right now, for you to build a bungalow, an average bungalow, you might spend up to 20 million naira. So for you to spend 20 million naira as a developer, you want to make profit, because a developer is a businessman. He wants to make profit. So it's relative that maybe he wants to put some things on it and all that. You understand what I'm saying? So even when you do site and services, it's almost like the same thing. So we cannot really regulate the pricing for developers. What we can just do is just give them an enabling environment to make sure that they can do things and work in concurrence with the policies of the government, and also work in concurrence with the master plan.
Is there any policy currently in your state that places a heavy fine, or like a what's it called now? A fine on a developer that develops a house that probably doesn't do well? Do we have such regulations
I
that
think,
brings consequences?
the one I know of is there's a bill in the Oyo State House of Assembly that has to do with building control agency. It has not been signed into law yet, but it will be signed into law very soon by His Excellency. But it has scaled the second reading. So maybe when we have that control agency in place, it can actually help with all enforcing all this, and make sure we avert all this collapse of buildings and all that happening around the country.
That's fantastic. All right. I also need to weigh in on the pricing matter.
Honorable Shete is from the side of the government.
Yes.
I am from the side of
the businessmen.
Yes, the private sector. What we would advise them to fix is not the price of the houses being built by the developers, or the rent, or to regulate the rent, but they should fix the housing deficit. If the housing deficit is being fixed, you would even have a less influx of developers doing the business that should have been done by the government.
How do they
Because
fix
now,
the
for the
housing deficit
government
without you?
to regulate what has been done by
A
developers,
private developer.
it is going to be hard.
No, so the truth is, part of the duty of a government is price control. The government cannot just allow things to keep skyrocketing without control.
I'd like to say something. Sorry to cut
Yes,
you.
please, Honorable Shete.
As a government, if you don't work in concurrence with the government policies of master plan, even though you buy your land from a family, the government can come and tell you to stop work.
Of course.
So I think what you should know and what you should do is, generally, like I said earlier, the government might not be able to tell you, okay, sell your property at this price, do this at this price,
what
and
I'm
all
saying.
that. But what we can do is generally, because you were talking about the housing deficit and all that. In the quest of the government trying to fix housing deficit, that is why we bring developers on board on private partnership. We have the land, bring your money, build for the people, and let people have houses.
Okay.
So
What if they are building what the people cannot afford?
Affordability is relative.
We are back to that place. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, very quickly now, the last question I probably want to ask our executive secretary here. Or do you still want to weigh in on the price control? Or you... All right. Okay, so here is... Are there incentives for people that want to bring their money, for developers? Do we have government incentives for developers? Probably tax exemptions, probably some form of incentives that can encourage developers to bring their money into the states and develop.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Or freelance.
Thank you, sir. And it's a simple question for me because there are evidences in the house. So people that have done business
And benefited.
real estate, yes.
Wow, why are they quiet?
Can I
Mention names,
okay,
please.
Don't let me do that.
Okay.
But yes, under this present administration, there is a concept, that was introduced. It is called land swap arrangement. So it's a kind of PPP arrangement where government will put down land as equity, and the developer, in this context, we don't call it developer, we call it infrastructure partner. So they put in, infrastructure and all that, and we put it on percentage that most of the time is in favor of the developer because
Okay.
they brought, their money, and government will not, want them to run at loss. And I don't think there's no developer that has partnered. We have so many of those models. If you see Senator Rashid Lado Jajiari, along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, you see Governor Ajimobi GRA, Sogunru, you see even Leria Degun, the Christopher Kala at Asedin. So those are the models, and of course, refit. Yeah. So that none of they have been smiling.
Okay.
And you can that is one. And when it comes to even some of the cost that they should bear, because that you are doing business with government doesn't exclude you from tax, from even getting your approval and all that. So sometimes when we come up with the normal assessment that they should pay, so they will ask for rebate. They will ask for concession, and the government has been magnanimously, doing that, granting that.
That's
yeah, and what matters most is creating enabling environment, because you guys in the private sector, you investor, like I always say, you have the innovation, you have the creativity, and you can take the risk. You can put your money down. So all you need is enabling environment. So, and government is supporting them, with that, in terms of security, when they have challenges, on those sides. So government has always been there for them. And then when they have issue, even sometimes when they have come up with their estimation and not that, there can be inflation, the rate of inflation these days. So government is not shying away from that reality. So governments do take time to look at it. We have round table so that we are not just saying, it's not just a master-servant relationship. So
it's a
our
partnership.
Relationship has been...
That's beautiful.
Partner.
That's beautiful. A round of applause for the Oyo State government, please. Now, the very last question I'm taking before we wrap this session to Barrister Aderibigbe. If I have issues with Omonile, how do I deal with it within the confines of the law in Oyo State?
Well, the issue of Omonile in Oyo State is not something that the government is shying away from. That's why we have anti-land grabbing law to arrest the situation. But we need, as a team, to work together to achieve the purpose of getting Oyo State to the place of the desired development. How do I mean? If anybody is coming to you, there's sometimes you see red flag that this, what you are going to buy, will become a problem in the future. You still go ahead to buy it because of the benefit that you think it will come to you. You see, land grabbing is becoming, like they are coming from Lagos now, a number of them. And Oyo State is not sleeping on its rights to arrest the situation. So the moment that you notice that a land grabber is coming to your property, what you need to do is to petition Oyo State anti-land grabbing. And the mama that is in charge, she's a no-nonsense woman. She will go all out to make sure that the person is arrested. They are all around us. Some, they will come, they will pretend, they will say a lot of things. And one of the things we need to do is to verify whatever we want to buy. Verification of documents, verification of title is very, very important. If anybody is coming to you, and a number of us, because we don't want to spend money, we are talking about materials the other time, substandard material. Because a number of us, we don't want to spend money, we won't engage professionals to do things for us. You engage experts in the estate world, real estate agents, lawyers, surveyors, to do the needful for you. Due diligence is very, very important. But if you have done all that and they are still coming to do what?
To disturb you.
To disturb you, the law is in place to arrest them. You don't need to fight anybody. There was a time I bought for somebody. And there's something they call social investigation. What is social investigation? If you want to buy a landed property somewhere, and somebody, especially a virgin land, and somebody is coming to you that, buy this land. If the land is bushy, you can tell people to go and weed the place. In doing so, people will come and ask,
what's happening there?
What's happening here? Who asked you to come and weed this place? They call it social investigation. So we went to the village and to consult the man that claimed to be the Oloriebi of the family. And when we got there, he said, the land belonged to a particular section, that we should go ahead and buy. We bought. After some time, we just went and we found people developing the plot. And if you love your life, when you go to a place, especially when you get to a land, don't fight anybody. The law is there for you to fight for you. Don't engage in self-help. We now went back to the Baba and said, Baba, we went to the land and we saw some people. Baba said, who are they? They said one Hakim. Baba said, if it is Hakim, I want one ile. The Baba that said that the other party was the owner, it was the same person that told me that Tobaja and Hakim lonile. Tobaja and Hakim labambe and one ile. What am I trying to say? We need to be properly guided. Engage the service of professionals. And when you find what do we call them? Land grabbers on your property, don't engage self-help. Law is there to fight for you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause for our panelists. I would have loved to take more questions, but then if we're pressed for time. Just for a minute, right? Okay, please. Let me take it for a minute. Yes, please come.
Okay, thank you very much. Very quickly, my name is Builder Abdulfatai Molade Olugbade. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Nigerian Institute of Building here in Oyo State. First time was commend the array of panelists that we have here, both at the first plenary session and this. Your insight into the topic of discourse has been so educative, and indeed you are doyens in your respective fields of practice. However, I just want to add a little to what had been discussed. As a professional, I know that there are some questions that have been asked from the moderator that are very germane and important for what we are here gathered today for. Number one was, what are the specific roles of governments in bridging the housing deficit and making housing affordable? We should know that the concept of affordability, as it has been said and reiterated by the SA to the governor on housing and urban development in Oyo State, is very relative. However, there are some specific actions that government should take. You know, there is a saying that government has no business with business, right? However, in creating an enabling environment, we should ask ourselves, what are the most critical components of a building or of a housing stock? What exactly are those factors responsible for the high skyrocketed, prices of these building stocks? One, let's look at the cost of reinforcement in Nigeria. Do we have local production of steel in our country? Where is Ajaokuta Steel Company today? The government of Nigeria is building a coastal highway from Lagos to Calabar, importing tons in millions and billions of dollars of these steels that we also use in our building construction. Look at the gap that is between the town and the gown also. There are a lot of fantastic researches that are going on in universities. Today, Mr. Moderator and panelists and participants, we have what we call supplementary cementitious materials that has been researched in institutions of higher learning. How do we scale it to a commercial quantity in a way that it will replace cement that we are all used to? Nigeria, we don't like change. We have an inertia and we have a belief of sticking to what had been existing since our forefathers. Whereas there are researches that have come up. He mentioned bamboo. To be frank, the government must lead this way for people to begin to follow them. We have a lot that I've written here, but for the want of time. We have to promote what we call local content. Why are we bringing Chinese expatriates to come and construct for us? Our roads and the major building works that we have in Nigeria are not given to local contractors. Then we have the issue of ensuring currency stability. The instability of our currency is one of the major reasons buildings continue to skyrocket. The prices of plumbing materials, the plumbing of electrical wires, is it the REDAN people that produces those things? No. We are just facing them and blaming them. They are not. Government has a lot to do. Another one I would like to say is in the issue of patronizing local content. Let our Nigerians, we can go back to the years of mode. You know what we call mode? Odo amo. I'm from Okole now, to the Manda. Am I correct? I'm calling it like that, but here, why must we bank on cement and all these foreign materials? If we go local, we are going to stay global. Thank you very much.
That's very profound. You know, I'm really glad you raised these very germane concerns while the Honorable is still seated. I'm sure that we have some projects ongoing in Oyo State. We probably want to counsel His Excellency. Instead of steel, probably use bamboo. I need to ask this, my brother. Your house, is it made of mud and things like that? But not your own house. So, if we are going to talk about being open to accepting changes, maybe we should start from you. Ladies and gentlemen, please, it's been a very educative time. Can you please give our panelists a round of applause? Thank you so much, Honorable Shete. Thank you. Barrister Aderibigbe, thank you. Mr. Seun, thank you. Mr. Falodun, thank you so much.